a cash-strapped college student accidentally becomes a paid lover for the rich and lonely housewives in town. In his dorm room, college student Randy Bodek cleans and prepares the space for a romantic night with his girlfriend Jenny. However, his friends arrive and easily convince the man to have a party because it's the last night before break. Eventually, Jenny arrives and sees the chaotic celebration. Furious, she unplugs the power and orders everyone to leave. The following day, Randy sleeps on the floor outside the dorm room, and Jory kicks him awake. After the preppy student jokes that he and Jenny should be the ones dating, the man pushes his bag down the stairs. Finally, the girlfriend lets him in, and he apologizes for ruining their plans last night. He explains that he didn't have a choice, but she points out how he never stands up for himself or her. Jenny reminds him that his parents still don't know about her and their living situation. She adds that his parents think his roommate's name is Vic, so Randy promises to introduce her as soon as possible. Seconds later, Joe, Randy's father, enters the room to pick him up. Jenny waits for her boyfriend to introduce her, but when the older man asks where his roommate is, Randy says Vic and his father just left. Hurt, the woman storms out of the room. Joe asks his son who she is, and the student lies and says she's his tutor. Eventually, the father takes the only packed suitcase in the room, and they make their way to the car. When Joe tosses the suitcase in the trunk, it bursts open, and Randy realizes he took his girlfriend's bag. At home, Joe and his wife Diane learn that their son failed most of his classes. Furious, the father exclaims that he won't continue supporting Randy's education because he doesn't take it seriously. The mother disagrees because they promised to give their child the opportunities they never had. However, Joe adamantly says he won't waste his hard-earned money if it just goes to waste. Randy admits it might be best to stop going to school because he doesn't even know what to major in. He says he'll start living a real life and confidently assures it won't be as bad as it seems. Weeks later, he works at Senor Pizza, where he tells his coworker Sal that he needs to raise $9,000 by September. However, the friend says he'll only earn half of his goal even if he works 3 shifts a day. Then, 2 customers ask about their handsome Italian exchange student coworker Tony. Sal points out all the lovely women coming into the pizza parlor, but Randy insists he wants to reunite with Jenny in the fall. The friend reminds him that his girlfriend lives 150 miles away and doesn't return his calls. Minutes later, the boss orders him to deliver the pizzas. While at a stoplight, he flirtily stares at a beautiful woman crossing the street. Determined to meet her, he follows the woman to a clothing boutique and introduces himself. Unfortunately, she thinks he's much too young to date her. Alex, an older sophisticated woman, sees the dejected man and lifts his spirits by saying that the lady made the wrong choice by rejecting him. Then she makes him wear a coat and hat before asking if he'd like to join her for coffee. Bemused that someone as beautiful as her showed interest in him, Randy accepts. Unfortunately, he realizes he's illegally parked outside, so he leaves the store before the cop can write him a ticket. At the pizza parlor, the man laments about the blown opportunity with Alex. Seconds later, the boss takes him to deliver pizzas with extra anchovies to Beverly Hills, then Costa Mesa, which is well away. At the hotel, Randy realizes Alex was the person who ordered, including the one supposedly for delivery in Costa Mesa, to ensure that his afternoon is free. That night, he calls his father and says he's spending the night at a friend's house. In the hotel room, Alex and Randy cuddle in bed after making love, and he learns the woman owns the clothing boutique and 10 other branches. He asks why she chose him even though she can get any man she wants. So Alex says she thought he looked like someone who knows how to enjoy himself. The next day, Sal is in awe when he learns that his friend made love 7 times last night. He clarifies that even if they did sleep together, they also had meaningful conversations. That afternoon, Tony drops by Randy's house to give him an expensive coat someone delivered to the pizza parlor. While the coworkers speak outside, Joe peeks through the door and assumes Tony gave his son the coat as a gift. Meanwhile, Randy sees his coworker's date and wonders if she's the 4th woman he's been with this week. The exchange student says it's because American women are too agreeable, and he finds nothing more attractive than a woman who rejects him. When his son returns to the house, Joe asks if the guy who gave him the coat was the same friend whose place he slept at last night, and Randy affirms. While the son answers a phone call in the kitchen, the father finds a note that fell from the coat. The salacious message is from Alex, but Joe assumes Alex is the friend who delivered the coat. In the kitchen, Randy answers Sal's call, who informs him that they received an order from a woman for a pizza with extra anchovies who asked for him specifically. After their son leaves, Joe tells Diane that he thinks Randy likes men, but the wife tells him not to jump to conclusions. Later, while driving Alex's convertible, he finally admits that despite enjoying their time together, together, he still loves his girlfriend. Fully aware that their relationship isn't serious, the woman says she understands. In the hotel room, Alex gives the man $200, but he refuses. So the woman explains it's for his college fund. Then she grabs her bags to leave for the airport, and he wonders if he'll ever see her again. Alex smiles and tells him to be on the lookout for extra anchovies. In his son's room, Joe rifles through the suitcase and discovers ladies' undergarments. Diane reprimands the husband for snooping through their son's things. He believes Randy likes to dress in women's clothes and needs professional help, but she argues that their son needs understanding parents. In the pizza parlor, Randy laments that he's only saved up $270 so far. Then, the boss hands him a pizza to deliver to a woman who ordered extra anchovies. He follows the address written for the order and enters a lavish mansion. He assumes Alex placed the order, so he calls out her name. However, the woman playing the piano in the living room isn't his lover. Kyoko Bruckner introduces herself as Alex's friend, and when Randy realizes what's going on, he turns to leave. When he hears the woman's wails, he rushes to her side to comfort her. The woman reveals that her husband doesn't respect her and that their 14-year marriage was a mistake. She's crying because now that she did something for herself, even a paid lover refuses to sleep with her. To appease Kyoko, Randy leads her to the couch and kisses her. However, Kyoko stops him and says she wants him to fulfill her fantasy. So the pair heads to the bedroom where they make love. When he returns to work, Sal informs him they received 5 more pizza orders with extra anchovies. Uninterested in becoming a paid lover, he asks his friend to cancel the orders. However, Sal says he can't call them back because they only gave their addresses. In the construction site where Joe works as a contractor, Harry Bruckner, Kyoko's husband, shows the former the home security robots he purchased from Japan. The man looks forward to Joe finishing the warehouse, where he'll store the robots. Linda, Joe's secretary, asks her boss if she can sleep in the office tonight because her apartment smells like paint fumes, and the man says yes. In a bar, the contractor shows Harry his son's picture and says he thinks Randy's attracted to men. He says he's tried talking to Diane about it, but they always argue. At the house, the mother overhears Randy's call with Jenny and assumes he's talking to his boyfriend. The man tells his girlfriend he'd like her to attend his parents' 20th wedding anniversary. Meanwhile, the intoxicated Joe stumbles into the office and falls asleep beside his secretary on the sofa bed. The following day, Joe is horrified when he wakes up next to Linda. She swears nothing happened between them because he passed out drunk last night. Relieved, the man says no one should know they were in the office all night because they'll never believe they didn't make love. Unfortunately, Linda answers Diane's call, leading the wife to assume the worst. At the pizza parlor, Jory jokingly asks Randy for Jenny's number since he won't be in college in the fall. Before a fight breaks out, Sal intervenes and calms his friend down. Then, he calculates how much money Randy has to make and says he'll need to sleep with 43 women. Later, the delivery guy arrives at the next client's house and meets Dr. Joyce Palmer. Initially, the woman wants to make love in front of the window so the gardeners can watch. Eventually, she admits that she only hired him as retaliation for her husband's affair. Minutes later, his goofy personality softens her up, and they head to the bedroom where they spend the entire session dancing. At home, Joe hands his wife a bouquet, but she ignores him and leaves the house. Meanwhile, Randy continues practicing how to dance so he can cater to his clients better. Later, he calls Jenny, admits she was right when she said he didn't know how to treat women and promises to work on it. In the ensuing days, he continues meeting with clients while practicing specific skills to make him a better lover, such as learning how to give massages and actively listening to their problems. After every session, he leaves a red rose beside the sleeping client. Soon, he uses some of his earnings to upgrade his wardrobe. Meanwhile, his former clients pass his information on to other lonely housewives who might need his services. Due to weeks of practice, he finally masters the dance with Joyce. In the boutique, Randy asks Sal how much money he's made, and the friend says he's almost at $7,000. Then, the coworker says he started accepting credit card payments, so the clients won't have to explain their constant cash withdrawals. However, Randy worries about the transactions on record, but the friend assures him it'll all appear as orders from Senor Pizza. At the lookout point, Jory sees Randy making love to an older woman in the adjacent car. The next day, he meets his new client, Monica Delancey, a photographer whose husband is a bodybuilder. The woman believes her husband sleeps with the women he privately trains. When he notices her poor self-confidence, he grabs her camera and playfully takes her pictures, and the delighted woman poses. That night, Randy has a nightmare where Monica's husband, Claude Delancey, barges into the pizza parlor to confront and beat him. Then he's taken to the hospital where Joyce's husband, Dr. Reed Palmer, performs surgery on him without anesthesia. anesthesia. Meanwhile, Diane answers Joe's call from the construction site, who says he'll be home late due to a burst pipe. The wife hears women's voices in the background and assumes her husband is talking to courtesans. The next day, Diane consults Joyce, who says the symptoms she's experiencing are due to stress. Eventually, the patient admits that she thinks Joe is cheating on her, so the doctor writes down the professional lover's information, unaware that he's Diane's son. While Randy and Kyoko take a bubble bath, Harry unexpectedly arrives, prompting the paid lover to hide underneath the bed. The husband finds the rose on his wife's pillow and suspects she's having an affair. When the delivery guy tries to sneak out, one of the security robots alerts the husband about the intruder. Randy hides in a storage room filled with robots, setting them all off, and then he escapes through the back door. Convinced of Kyoko's cheating, Harry checks her planner and learns she had a 2-hour appointment with Dr. Reed Palmer, whom he now suspects is her lover. He heads to the hospital to confront the physician, but Reed swears he's only been sleeping with Nurse Darlene. In the car, the doctor shares that he suspected Joyce was cheating on him after he found roses on her pillow, and Harry theorizes their wives might have the same lover. They head to Claude's home because Reed says his wife receives the roses on Tuesdays. The same day, the personal trainer comes by. While trying to break into the house, the bodybuilder arrives and defeatedly says he doesn't care if they're robbing him since he just learned his wife's having an affair. Meanwhile, Diane calls in an order for a pizza with extra anchovies. Randy returns to the pizza parlor and tells Sal his client's husband is out to kill him. However, the friend says he only needs to see one more woman until he reaches his $9,000 goal. Moments later, Jenny enters the pizza parlor and asks Sal where Randy is, so the coworker says she can wait for him until he comes back. In the motel room, Diane calls to cancel the order, but the boss answers and says it's already on its way, unaware that she's talking about the professional lover. Diane heads out of the room to get some ice. Meanwhile, Randy enters the room and prepares for the client to return. He freshens up in the bathroom and then hears the person enter. To his horror, he realizes the client is his mother, so he grabs the pizza and jumps from the bathroom window to escape. Concurrently, Jory joins Jenny at her table and tells her that Randy's been sleeping with an older woman. Outside, the frantic man hands Tony the pizza and asks him to head to the motel to deliver it and tell the woman they ran out of anchovies. Inside, Sal informs him that Jory told Jenny the truth. At the motel, Diane answers the door, pulls Tony into the room, and kisses him. Randy rushes back to the house to ask his father if Jenny called. Joe says he thinks his wife's going to divorce him. The son realizes his mother might still be in the motel, so he tells his father to head to the restaurant for the anniversary party. In the motel room, Diane pushes Tony away and says she can't go through with it. Because she rejected him, this only encourages the man to win her over. The woman rushes to her car to head to the anniversary party, and Tony rides his scooter to follow her. At the lookout point, Jory consoles the heartbroken Jenny. However, he tries to kiss her, so she hits his groin with a gear stick. Then she runs to the road and hitches a ride back to town. Meanwhile, the three husbands check their credit card records and realize their wives all paid for $200 orders at Senor Pizza. Randy returns to the pizza parlor, and seconds later, Jenny arrives. Suddenly, Jory appears and challenges the delivery guy to a fist fight. Behind the establishment, the two men are about to brawl, but the three husbands' arrival interrupts them. As they're about to beat up Randy, Harry recognizes him as Joe Bodek's son and remembers the contractor telling him he was attracted to men. Because of this information, the older man rules him out as his wife's lover, so the couple walks away, and when the three men see Jory, they assume he's the notorious professional lover. They work together to beat him up before stuffing him into the trunk. Then they head back to Harry's house to show Kyoko what they did to her lover. However, the woman doesn't know who Jory is, and the men realize they've got the wrong person. Meanwhile, Randy finally tells Jenny everything and asks if she hates him. She says she can't help it now that she knows he slept with all those women. He clarifies that he didn't sleep with all of them because some just wanted to feel special and respected. She asks if he did it for the women, but he says he did it so he could save for college so that they could be together. Jenny tells him to think about how he'd feel if she told him she slept with men so she could be with him, and he sadly agrees that he'd hate it. So the woman orders him to drive her to the bus station. Randy obliges but says he needs to stop by the party first. At the party, Diane hugs Joe and they apologize to each other. Suddenly, Tony, Randy, and Jenny arrive. So the father tells his son that he doesn't care if he likes men but would have preferred if he didn't bring his lover to the party. Tony says he isn't Randy's lover and that he's there for Diane. He adds that the usual delivery guy sent him to the motel, and the mother realizes her son is the infamous professional lover. Tony proclaims that he's come to save Diane because she deserves a real man, angering Joe. The father and the exchange student get into a scuffle, and then the three husbands attack Randy after Jory points him out. The party devolves into chaos, and Diane slams a pineapple on Tony's head to save her husband. Meanwhile, Randy evades the three men but ends up atop the piano. The husbands push the instrument toward the glass window, but the delivery guy jumps off just in time. The piano crashes through the window and rolls onto a police car outside. Joe asks Harry why he's going after his son, so the three men state that he's been sleeping with their wives. The father says he thought Randy liked men, so the son says he doesn't. Jory's mom snickers, implying that she was one of the professional lover's clients, much to her son's disgust. The cops arrest the three men for causing the brawl and damaging the police car. Then, Randy finally introduces Jenny to his parents, who are delighted to meet her. Later, he asks the band to play the song he enjoys dance to. While the couple waltzes across the floor, he promises to give back all the money he earned. He says he'll keep his day job and visit Jenny on the weekends. However, Joe recognizes his son's maturity and says he can return to college. Then, Randy reveals that he's finally decided he'll major in pre-med, minor in Japanese, and take photography courses.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.